All right, good morning. Good to see you this morning. We are going to get rolling. The lesson today, at least the video he sent me, is short, but we'll still want to make sure we have time. So, and then you can always talk afterwards if we have extra time. But all right, we traditionally start with our chorus, right? We're probably only going to do this a couple more times. So, family of God, remember, y'all know the words by now, right? Without turning in your hymnal, right? Right? Anybody awake? You can go back to bed? You can get a nap later. All right, let's sing. I'm so glad I'm a part of the family of God. I've been washed in the fountain, cleansed by His blood, joint heirs with Jesus as we travel this sod. I'm part of the family of God. Is that true? I hope it's true for you, part of the family of God. So, all right, let's do some sword drills real quick. As soon as I get it pulled up here, get your swords in the air. Here we go. Present arms. Romans 8:37.
Romans 8:37.
Charge. All right, very good. Oh, I guess I better throw you something. Present arms. Hebrews 13:5. Charge. All right, there we go. Whoops, went to the right a little bit, sorry. Present arms. Yeah, she reached for it. Deuteronomy 31:8.
Deuteronomy 31:8.
Charge. All right. There we go. Present arms. 1 Corinthians 15:57.
1 Corinthians 15:57.
Charge. Okay, very good. There we go. All right, one more, then we'll have a runoff. Present arms. Philippians 1:16.
Philippians 1:16.
Charge.
The one preach Christ of contention, not sincerely supposing to add affliction to my bond.
Check it again. Philippians 1:16.
One preach Christ of contention.
Did I write the?
The one preach.
All right, I wrote the wrong verse down. That's not the one I was. All right, that's fine. All right, very good. He had the verse I said. I don't know. Actually, I can find it here. He that hath begun a good work in you shall perform it unto the day of Jesus Christ. Maybe it's 1:6. 1:6. Okay. Okay. All right, I just got an extra one in there. Sorry. Anyway. Last one. Here's for those five then. Present arms. Run off. Malachi 3:6. charge.
For I am the Lord, I change not, therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed.
All right. Got something different here for you. Sarah's not allergic to peanuts. All right, so we'll get, for our lesson, I've got the questions that Brother George sent me from last week that we will go over, and then he has recorded a lesson for us to watch today, or some comments from the mountains. All right, so let me get the right text up here. There we go. What was the lesson about this last week? Okay. Unexpected change. King, sorry. Unexpected king. Oh, it had to do with David, right? Is that right? Okay. Sorry, I wasn't here, but all right. So here's some questions then that you were given last week. Who is someone you consider a leader? And what makes them a leader? Two-part question. The president, and what makes them a leader?
Hey, God put him there, amen.
What makes? All right, somebody else. What? Emmy? God is a leader. What makes him a leader? Because he's okay. All right, very good. He's the good shepherd. Pam? A pastor. All right. Dare I ask what makes him a leader? What's that? Okay. All right. Bev? Okay. All right. Some people are leaders just because they got in there. But leaders, to be a true leader, you have to earn, or you have to, earn's not a good word. What's what we're looking for? Prove. Okay. I mean, you gain respect. You gain. I mean, you can't be a leader unless you have followers, right? I mean, unless people are willing to, and you can't be a good leader unless first you're a follower, by the way. So, anyway, everybody wants to be a leader to boss everybody around, but that's not what a leader is, right? Because if you don't have any sheep behind you, you're not a shepherd. So, all right. So, next question. Why do you think David wasn't even brought before Samuel, his father, when Samuel first arrived? I know it's kind of common sense, but okay, because the youngest and the smallest, the scrawniest, if you will. Yeah, right. He was, to his father, he seemed insignificant for that task, at least. I mean, he was good for watching sheep. He did that a lot, but, but all right. Any other comments on that? Why do you think he wasn't brought? I mean, that pretty much sums it up, but Pam? Yeah, all right. Yeah. Yes, yeah. All right, very good. All right, next question. What drew Saul to David? Beth? Yeah. I think it had, yes, Dina? God, okay, well that's true. All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure David's, again, his character, but his attitude, his humility probably. I mean, his spirit just, I mean, you want people like that around you generally. You don't want somebody that's going to constantly cause issues or threaten your position, whatever. Anyway, so, all right. What kinds of things soothe you when you are angry, upset, or afraid? Okay, songs. All right. Anybody have a harp at home? You just mouth harp maybe, but all right. Okay. Food. All right. Nothing wrong with that. You gotta be a little careful, but nothing. I mean, you know, that's yes. Sleep. All right. Sleep soothes. All right. Anything else? Just real quick. Yes, Bev. Yeah, memories can soothe you, yes. And memories of what God has done too in our life can help bring us calm and peace. Johnny, did you have something? Mom? Is that what it is? Mom soothes him. Oh, all right. Very good, Johnny, very good. Who's the first one to comfort you when you get hurt? It's not Dad. Dad says, "You're breathing, get up." You know. I don't see any blood. Come on, let's go. Yes, Josh? Being alone, solitude sometimes, you know, you want to... I'm more one of those people than a people person. I mean, rather, you know... anyway, go ahead.
I think I can't read and can't get in there. You listen to music that is praise to God.
Prayer, sure.
And crying my heart out,
Yeah, so prayer soothes. Soul winning soothes. Get your mind off of you and to the needs of others, right? For their need for Christ. And so, all right. Anytime we can get our mind off of the problem onto God or onto something spiritual, that soothes us, doesn't it? All right, last question. What does this story make you think about God? What does this story make you think about God? Stephen? He sees all, even the heart. So, and that could be good, or it could be scary, depending on where your heart is, right? Jason? Yeah, it shows you God's got it all worked out. He's got his plan already figured out, and may come as a surprise to us, but God's got his purposes and his plans, and so. All right, so let's, I guess, go ahead and play. If you have that ready, Adam, play the video for this week, and then he sent me the questions to ask you too. So he goes over them quickly, but he said he was fighting the gnats, trying to, you know, so. He said we'd notice that. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know if he swallowed any or not. He didn't tell me that. But so he heard through the questions, but he sent them to me so I could go over them again with you. So go ahead.
Go.
All right, we told you we'd be recording the Family Bible Hour mobily or from a distance this week, and we are in Antelope Island, in just west of or northwest of Salt Lake City. As you can see, the scenery is great. Last week, I know Pastor's already been over the questions that we had, and it was when David was anointed to be king. So this week, we're going to talk a little bit about going forward in David's life. And if you want to open your Bibles already to 1 Samuel chapter 17, the questions are going to be based out of 1 Samuel chapter 17. I'm just going to read a few verses here to kind of give you the whole synopsis of the chapter. But we're going to talk about, in today's story, we're going to talk a little about David's rise in power and how the power of God worked in David's life. So I'm going to read just a few chapters here, chapter 17. Again, I want everybody to read the whole chapter this week because you're going to need it to answer the questions. And excuse me, the wind's blowing and it wants to blow the Bible around, but that's what happens when you're live. And so I'm just going to read a few verses here, starting in verse 31 of the chapter here. Verse 17, and it says, "And when the words were heard, which David spoke, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he set before them." Then if you jump on up there, in verse 40, it says, "And he took his staff in his hand, and he chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even a scrip, and a sling in his hand, and he drew near the Philistine." Then jump on down in verse 50, and where it says, "And David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine, and slew him, and there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran, and took upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of his sheath, therefore, and slew him, and cut off his head, therefore. And when the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled." What we're talking a little bit about this morning is the power that David had in his life. And he drew all of his power from God. As we said, David wasn't the mightiest of the sons, but he was the one chosen, and like we talked about last week, being anointed with the horn of oil, and he was anointed with God's power. So I'm going to jump on here and give you some questions for the week, and then we'll have the demonstration edited into the video here in a little bit. First question was, have you ever been belittled by somebody? Maybe even you use the word bully, but I like the word belittled. And how did that make you feel? And again, you'll find all these answers in the first chapter of Samuel, 1 Samuel chapter 17. Second question is, can you relate to the Israelites who faced Goliath? Have you ever been in a situation where you were up against insurmountable odds, basically, to where you just didn't know how it was going to turn out? And have you ever been in that situation like the Israelites faced when they faced Goliath? Third question, how was David able to overcome the fear the Israelites were experiencing so he could face Goliath? In other words, how did he just know that he was going to win? Have you ever been in those situations, and I've been in a few that I'll explain to you next week in the class, where I've been up against situations to where there was fear involved, but I knew if I did what I know I was supposed to do, I was going to win. Okay? And then I got one more question for you, and the question here, do you think God gave David victory over the Philistines? Do you really think it was God, or do you think it was David? And everybody should be able to answer that question there. And then for your activity for the week, I didn't choose an activity that was in the book. I chose because the activity that was in the book is a little bit farther ahead in the story, and I didn't want to get ahead in the story because we still got a couple weeks to go. But the activity I wanted you to focus on was what those 5 smooth, even though he only took 1 stone, but he chose 5. And I want you to spend this week and come up with reasons in your mind or in your life why he chose 5 stones. And it's personal, like everything else is done. Why did he choose 5 stones? I have 5 thoughts for each of those stones, and I'll share them with you this week. So like I said, we're going to edit a couple more things into this. We got some moving around to do. We're going to a canyon and a few other places today, and there'll be some other edits into this video, and we'll be back to you in a little bit.
Okay, we're live today from Utah, and I have my 2 lovely volunteers with me, my handsome volunteer Colin and my cute volunteer Madeline. And we're going to do a little demonstration for you today about David and Goliath and trusting in God. So Colin is going to be Goliath today, and I have a bottle of pop here, and inside here, the liquid inside, the soda, it's going to represent our enemies, okay? And we're going to see how much success we have defeating our enemies in our own power, and how much success we have when we give it to God, okay? So Colin here is going to be Goliath, and I'm going to give him this. You can put your source in there. And I'm going to give him this 2-liter soda, and he's going to use his own strength, and he's going to squeeze it as hard as he can. Let's see how much he can get out of there. Woo! Okay, good job. So we're gonna straighten it up here and let's see. Whoa, didn't straighten up very good. But he got about that far down. Not bad. He's a pretty strong guy, right? Okay, so now we have Madeline, and Madeline is going to represent David. You ready, Madeline? Okay. So she has her shield and her sword here, but do you need that, Madeline? No, she doesn't need it, right? Woo, okay, but she's going to use something else. And here's her enemies and her problems and everything. We're going to put them right here. Oops. And Madeline, I'm going to give her 5 smooth stones, exactly what David had, right? Now we're going to take the 5 smooth stones and we're going to put them inside here, okay? So can you put those in there for me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to put them on top of all of our troubles and our worries here, our enemies. Okay. And we're going to get back. Are you ready, Madeline? Okay. Get over on this side. And we're going to see what happens. Wait till I say go, all right? Wait till I say go. Okay, ready? Say the battle's the Lord's. The battle is the Lord. And pull it. Okay, let's go. Ah! Woo! Okay. Let's see what happens. Oh my goodness. So, here's our 2 bottles. Look at that. So, who had more success? Goliath in his own power? Or David because he trusted in the Lord? Who had more success, Madeline? David or Goliath? Who won? Who won? Is this David? David won, right. David trusted in the Lord, and he didn't rely on his own strength. And when we trust in the Lord and not rely on our own strength, we have more success too. We can defeat our enemies.
Israel rebelled in peril back in David's time, 'cause Goliath was the champion of the Philistines. Israel was shaken, stricken by fear, but God called a champion, though young in years. 5 flat rocks from a riverbed, it only took one, and the giant lay dead. Saul offered his armor, but David said no. I believe I'll wear my shepherd's clothes. 5 flat rocks, a sack and a sling, look how God makes a king. 5 flat rocks from a riverbed, it only took one, and the giant lay dead. 5 flat rocks from a riverbed, it only took one, and the giant lay dead. David had faith, and he did know the lion and the bear couldn't take him on. So he knew he'd take the giant down. 10 foot tall, Lord, he hit the ground. 5 flat rocks from a riverbed, it only took one, and the giant lay dead. 5 flat rocks from a riverbed, it only took one, and the giant lay dead. Rocks, shepherd's clothes, the singing around God's throne. 5 flat rocks from a riverbed. It only took one and the giant lay dead. 5 flat rocks from a riverbed. It only took one and the giant lay dead.
Except you got to sing it with a twang. All right, here was to repeat the questions. Y'all need their questions repeated? You went through them kind of quickly. You see the gnats flying around the camera? I don't know if you noticed that or not, but anyway. So here's the questions for next week then. Have you ever felt belittled by someone? Have you ever felt belittled by someone? No, never. And then the second part of that, how did it make you feel? Okay. How did it make you feel? Question 2, if you need it repeated, let me know. But question number 2, can you relate to the Israelites who faced Goliath? Can you relate to the Israelites who faced Goliath? Question number 3, how was David able to overcome the fear Israelites were experiencing so he could face Goliath? So how was David able to overcome the fear that the Israelites had? All right. And some of these seem pretty common sense, but think about them a little bit and jot your thoughts down. And then the last question, number 4, do you think God gave David the victory over the Philistines? Do you think God gave David the victory over the Philistines? All right, and then activity for the week, think of 5 symbols of what David's 5 rocks would mean to you personally. Okay, 5 symbols of what David's 5 rocks would mean to you personally. All right, any comments on last week's lesson or questions or anything before we're going to finish, like I said, early, so. Yes, last question again, or the activity, okay. Think of 5 symbols of what David's 5 rocks would mean to you personally. At the end he asked why you think David took 5 rocks, and then there's activity to think of what those could represent to you personally. Anybody know why he took 5 rocks? Think about it, see what you come up with. All right. Any other questions, comments? Okay, whose turn was it to bring the coffee and donuts this morning? Oh. No, it's okay. All right, well, let's close our time in prayer. And then here in just a couple of weeks, again, we are looking at starting our Sunday school back up, our individual classes, and in a couple of weeks. So next week, Timothy Silcott will be here, and I think he'll be doing the Sunday school hour, I think. I've not confirmed that with him, but so we may just have one more Family Bible hour to wrap up for this get this year behind us, right? All right, so, I think the slips, I didn't look yet, but we're putting your bulletin one more time for teachers. We can still use one more teacher if there was somebody available. We can divide up however we need to, but, and I was going to try to get ages too, but some of them aren't here, so to see how we want to divide up exactly, because, we want to kind of make it where it's equitable. What's that? Oh, okay. I had them on the desk there. They didn't get inserted. Oh, he said he didn't get one, so somebody stole his. So anyway, you should have a slip in there, but so we'll just kind of see how, we'll kind of see what ages we have and how we want to divide up, and if we have one extra teacher that we don't actually need, you can be a substitute. I mean, we'll use you somehow. So if God is leading you to do that, go ahead and fill that out, and I appreciate those who have filled it out so far, and it's looking in pretty good shape. So, all right. Let's close in prayer, and we will let you be dismissed. So, Father, thank you for this beautiful Sunday morning as we, and again, not just outside, but Father, as we have met here and prepare to meet with you once again in our morning service, may you move in our midst. May you encourage us. May you strengthen us in our walk with you, in our relationship with you, in our service for you. This we pray and thank you for in Jesus' name.